Don't die before you watch this.
Whether we like it or not, we got to think of this topic. What happens to your money if you die unexpectedly? It seems like there are a lot of diseases, it's a lot of viruses and accidents as well. That's why we actually come up with this topic hoping that it will actually benefit more people. So what happens after death of a person? Well, I'm sure the family member, first thing is we will grieve. It is so sad that we are not even prepared for it. The first thing that we got to do, funeral ceremony. This is the time that you got to really stay a little bit calm. We know it's difficult, it's tough, but think of what was the deceased person last wish that they actually last told you, what is the funeral that they prefer. So the body will reach to the home, okay, or to the parlor after the autopsy or after all the arrangements. So this is the time that you want to decide, okay, funeral, where should we actually put it? Should I put it at my residential home? Should I pay the rent to a funeral parlor center for me to actually have it? And what is the religion preference here? Right. If the burden is really heavy on the family side, what is suggested is you can go and ask a few of your close relatives or the friends who has certain experience and ask them for the opinions. Why this is a time that you got to ask the key person opinion, because you'll be surrounded with a lot of noises. A lot of people will be telling you different things. So it is very crucial for you to find that one person that you trust who can give you the best suggestion. Why? Because during the wake service, you are as weak as the rest of the people. You are the person who is affected the most, because imagine this is the family member who passed on without you knowing the fact that, this is going to happen just like that. You are still getting a shock, right? That's why right now during the wake service, right, it is crucial to appoint a direct family or a friend or relative who can make sound decision, because what happens to a lot of family during the wake service is that whatever the funeral or the burial services company propose to them, they will just say yes, even though it's expensive, even though it may not make sense and all that, because all they want to do is just maybe sit down there and cry, and grieve over the loss. Yeah, so during the wake service, reach out for help. And if the deceased leave behind a minor children, maybe they leave behind certain children that's baby, like toddler, appoint someone reliable to take care of them, because toddler are actually not supposed to, be at the wake service. One by one, arrange it, right? I'm Chanel. Yeah, so I'm one of the estate planner from Rockville's. I'm also an insurance planner from Hong Leong Insurance, and currently I co-founded property rental management company with a few co-founders.
Hi, my name is Yvonne. I'm a certified coach to organize, run, and teach financial literacy program for kids and adults alike.
After you have settled all the funeral, what's next? So around 10 days after the funeral, that's when maybe definitely you're still feeling very, very sad. You're still grieving, but this is a time that at least you already calm down yourself a little bit, and you have more time to talk to your family about the disease matter. This is a time that you can gather a few of the family members who can make decision and sit down and discuss the matter together. Like, what is the major concern? Do you have an elderly mother that you need to take care? Who's going to take care of her during the period, right? And whether the disease leaves behind
children,
a will,
especially children,
children,
right?
actually, I think children and the elderly is very important. The major concern of all the Asian families. And whether you have will or not, or without will, because the execution method will be very much different. And if you didn't manage to speak to your insurance agent when the disease first passed on, this is the best time to call up your insurance agent to find out what is being required, what is covered, and all that, provided you got the contact. That's why it's very important, it's very crucial for every single family to keep a contact of your insurance agent, of your family lawyer, your estate planner. Keep it somewhere that you can retrieve it. Yeah, it's very, very crucial for this part. So within 30 days, the first round of family meeting is over, right? That's when you're decided. If let's say we have a will, it is time for us to retrieve the will. Where did the father put the will? Okay, it's at home. Maybe it's at a safe. It's with my lawyer. Retrieve it, arrange a will reading day. Yeah, whatever that you actually see in movie or see in drama, right? It really happens. We call it a will reading day. It is real. Of course, the family member can choose to read at home first, but we usually will have an official reading day if, let's say, it involves a lot of the family members, because that is also the best time for you to gather the concerned family members, right, to decide on things. Because it doesn't mean that the will, if let's say they appointed an executor, the executor has all the power for all this. Executor is actually acting on behalf of the family to do certain things, but there are also certain things that the family member all need to decide together. If a lot of them have different mindset, decide on the legal entity to engage, because all these things you got to engage lawyers, not any ordinary lawyer, but lawyers who are specialized in estate planning to help you to do all these things, right? And then like what Yvonne said, minor, who's going to take care of the minor? What if the minor suddenly become a orphan?
That day I was chatting with a member. I don't know this thing, like you have to even will who is your guardian, especially if you got young kids below 18, right? Who will be the guardian of them after you pass on in the will itself, you know? You need to pay the guardian to take care of your kid also, right? So you need to will all these things into the will, which I don't know as well.
Yeah, because if you don't include that in the will, then that means, right, you will leave it to the destiny of your family members to decide.
Or government, for that matter.
Yes.
The Distribution Act, you know, about the Distribution Act. Yeah.
Correct. If it's not being mentioned, then the family member will decide for you, which you may not know whether it's the best decision or not, because you're no longer around, right? So definitely, if you want to make pre-arrangement, then you got to actually and mention it in a will. Okay, that's provided you have a will. The family has an elderly, we definitely will ask them to mention as well, because if let's say it's not mentioned in a will, again, the family member will need to decide who is going to take care of the elderly. Now, elderly is more tricky because the elderly may be sick, you need someone else to take care, maybe you need to hire a maid, maybe you need someone who is always 24/7 at home to take care. And then executor. I'm sure in a will, definitely you have an executor. So this executor will need to work together with a lawyer, hand in hand, to apply for grant of probate. And then you will move on to the next step. So all these things, you can do it within 30 days, you know, after the funeral. Actually, there's no time limit, but I would think that the best timeline will be within 30 days, better go and settle all these things. So what about if there is no will? Because there's a service saying that only 28% of Malaysians own a will. And also out of the 28%, not everyone, you know, is keeping their will updated. So there is a chance of 72% of our Malaysian people are still not owning any will. This is a story that I always hear whereby people are saying, it's okay, I don't need a will. But we already know the bad things that happen. But without a will, do not freak out as well. Because if you do not have a will, you may end up spending more time or more money, but there is still solution. Okay, again, what you all can do is during the family meeting, again, of course, this way you wouldn't have the will reading ceremony anymore, right? But you can still gather your family members, all the crucial ones, to appoint a representative to talk to the lawyers who specialize in estate planning. This is the time that you need to get the professional help, right? Because we talked to a member, right, and the member was trying to retrieve the late deceased assets, but that's the wrong thing to do, because no matter how hard you try, you may not be as complete as compared to a lawyer. Correct. The lawyer would have more access, more contact towards the financial institution and all that.
Because the banker cannot just trust you. Banker cannot just release information to you, even though you are the closest one that sit next to the person every day. So that
actually but I would think it's a lot of effort, because you got to go bank to bank. Not easy.
Yes, it's not easy. It's not the easiest to do, and you must go one by one. And they will even close the door upon your face. So the best is to hire a lawyer. They have all the access to do, because lawyer is a representative in a way, right? Like what you know, they all say that it makes sense as well that a lawyer is the best person to do all this for you.
Yeah, and not forgetting that we will miss a thing or two. If let's say especially if you're coming from Asian families, Asian parents don't usually tell the kids what they have. My parents are very transparent, but even though they are transparent, we were so shocked that our lawyer managed to help us to locate 1 or 2 dormant share account that my parents forgotten. Yeah, and we retrieve, not to say hefty money, but it's our money. Yeah. If you were to do it alone, you wouldn't be able to do it, especially if your spouse or your family member is trying to hide certain accounts from you because of the Asian culture. You will never forever going to find out if you were to do it alone yourself. Yeah, so this way, find a professional who do it. And a lot of people don't know that lawyers, right, they are also like doctors. They have specialists as well. Lawyer who do litigation only. Some do only divorce cases.
Conveyancing.
Correct. And SMP. solicitors, and
Yes.
there are certain ones who only do estate planning. They are very specialized because you're not prepared at all, right? That the next step will be you got to decide with your concerned family members about the legal fee budget. You may go to 2 or 3 lawyers who do the same thing, compare, but I can tell you under Malaysian law, the fees are actually rather fixed. And if let's say you already gotten the budget, if let's say you have no money, so you got to discuss on where to retrieve your immediate cash. Why you need a family representative is because you will need to facilitate the application of letter of admin. Well, it will be very tricky if the family has a minor that is below 18 years old, because that's when you got to appoint 2 surety. It's not as direct as having a will. Without a will, right, the process will be lengthier. But you know what? Everything is possible. Yeah, you may be troubled and struggling with a lot of the legal issues, but do not forget, keep yourself surviving first. Because if you can't even survive, there's nothing else that you can do legally, right? Whether it is to put food on table, do whatever that you need to take care of the elderly, to take care of the family welfare. You know, the family cannot be falling apart because you got to survive first, and then do the rest of the things. Do what you think is right. Within that 30 days, it is also a time for you to really understand how distribution law in Malaysia works. Upon death, whether we like it or not, right, once the death cert is issued within a time sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 1 month, sometimes it's 2 months, the assets of the deceased person will be frozen or will be locked. Locked for a reason, because dead people also need to pay tax. This is something that a lot of people are not aware. In fact, if you can't get through income tax, there's nothing else that you can do in the estate. So upon you applying the letter of admin, if let's say you don't own a will, and if let's say you own a will, that's when you will apply the grant of probate, which is on the right side. But both with the purposes, okay, which is to pay the income tax clearance. So after that, that's when your executor and also the lawyer will go and find out what are the debts that is available. That person also need to pay off loan. Whatever debt that the deceased left behind, the family member need to bear. It is a myth that if the person died, that loan shark won't come after. Still need to pay. Yeah, that's why I have seen certain families whereby their asset couldn't move because of the loans. It is very sad to see, but it is a true fact, because the financial institution can't be just giving the property to you if you cannot settle off the loan, right? And the last is to settle off all the liabilities before the court says, okay, right now you have the right to distribute all the remaining things to the beneficiary. So what happened in real life is that it will take a long time for people who do not own will because of these 3 factors. So what happens after 30 days? After working out with your lawyer and all that, you have already applied for GP or LA already. So you have to do all the searches already. So it's time also to find out the debts. If let's say you manage to get certain replies from the banks telling you what is the debt that is owing from the estate, how to plan for it for debt cancellation. Do you have any insurance to actually knock off the debts that is being owed? It doesn't just stop there. Like what we say, it actually covers a lot more stuff. Like the first thing is income tax. You still need to file the income tax to YA 2021, 2023. If let's say the property is still under rental, I need to get the professional, like the accountant, to also still do the filing for you. And the next thing is to pay off the debts. Where to find money to pay off? Because by this time, after 60 days, if all the financial institution were to actually come back to you already, come back to your lawyer already, that's when you will have a list of asset and liability. Then you will know whether the asset is indebted or is having positive cash flow inside. Usually, if let's say you are indebted, that is the crucial point. Yeah, so a lot of families, right, they have gone into trouble because they have not enough cash to pay off the debt. So you do not want to actually end up with this one. So that's why I always tell my friends and my client that think twice before you buy a house. If you cannot afford to buy insurance, don't buy a house.
Please include that cost into your purchasing of your property as well, because it's equally important of buying a house.
Yeah, so if your house is serving a 500,000 loan, my suggestion is buy 1 million coverage. Why? You may end up doing remortgaging of your house in future when the value goes up. And then next time, it wouldn't be just 500,000 loan. Secondly, you need to buffer for money to pay off the legal expenses. Do you think legal expenses is cheap? It's not cheap. It's not cheap. And third thing is, what if the estate taxes are being implemented in the future? Right? So there are a lot of expenses being introduced. And also, of course, you also want to give certain balance, certain breather to your family. They cannot just end up having zero cash net, right? You also want to give them as a gift of love. So you got to buffer more. I always put the ratio 2 to 1 if you can afford. Before you watch the session today, you may think, why do I need to buy life insurance? It's actually meant for all these things.
Yep.
Really. It's very expensive to die. Do you know that?
They say, right, it's cheaper to marry than cheaper to divorce. And also same case goes to it's cheaper to give birth than death, basically.
True. And the follow-up is killing, very tiring. And imagine if you don't give it to other people, you do it yourself. Oh, I can tell you, reassure you, it's
Yes.
like doing another full-time job.
Jackie say, don't die if you got no money. Seriously.
Seriously, this is serious.
Serious one. Yeah, this serious one.
Unless you don't care, you bought up.
You both up, then the next generation, the next
but next generation will suffer. So why would I say follow-up will need a lot of time is because it doesn't today you engage a lawyer, tomorrow the lawyer will get it done for you. Because lawyer also need to go through a lot of the departments, like let's say if you own a property, land office, banks, and then a lot of financial institution, and certain financial institution may need to dig up 10, 20 years of the record and show you whether you own that. What if you own a Bitcoin account? That one.
You're talking about
digital assets. We always talk about digital assets now.
Whoever got Bitcoin account, you better know, your partners, because my husband was telling me it's like Bible, You have to really go through a few steps before you can take out your account. You can access to your account. So in that sense, that it's very important for the alive person, the owner of the account, to also write down every password, like what Chanel said, the digital, your bank account, all this thing is very important. Digital
asset. You need to will out also. What if your Bitcoin is so valuable next time?
You become few $1 million your Bitcoin and you cannot access. It's totally gone.
Totally gone. Yes,
gone.
You do not want it to happen. So no matter whether you like it or not, right, there will be more and more follow-ups until the settlement. If let's say you're talking about a normal estate with a will, it will take you around 2 to 3 years. Without will, easily take you 3 to 7 years. Because it depends on complexity, it depends on how early you can get the tax clear, the debt clearance, and responsiveness. Elaine says pre-IPO shares. Yeah, what if you happen to own certain shares that is pre-IPO and then you go IPO? I think shares is still fine. We are talking about digital assets here. E-wallets, because right now I don't think there is a law governing e-wallets yet, right?
Yep.
So all these low digital assets, like how well you keep your password.
And what if you are those YouTubers that is earning like a month, don't say a lot, 20,000 USD, 10,000 USD, 5,000 USD, that kind of income, and this kind of assets, So this kind of digital assets that she's talking about actually also.
Elaine says, got so many e-wallets on my mobile. Yeah, you have to will out all this also. Do not forget, or else you will miss out all these things, because e-wallet is our new trend now. Whoever is watching the session right now, I bet that you at least have minimum one e-wallet. We talk about the legal side, but what about the emotional pain after losing a loved one? It is actually very painful. If you think dealing with legal is tough, dealing with the emotional pain is even tougher. This is the moment that our emotional pain is the most impactful one that we got to let out, because crying, believe it or not, is a healing. The more you cry, the faster you heal. Yeah, Alexander, I agree with you. We need to release the emotion. Imagine one day you think that you're fine one day, and then you're getting a call from a lawyer and it reminds you of your family tragedy. So this happened to me a lot of times whereby, I was already back to my workstation. Suddenly one day the lawyer called me, hey, miss, I need your help to sign this document. Then it triggers you back again. Then you're feeling sad again that day. Moody. That's right. Be easy on the person who lose a loved one. They may appear to be strong, but actually they are not. I have seen family members who didn't cry because they got a shock, but they only cry like days after or months after that.
There's so many things to settle upon death. There's too many other things to care over besides sobbing. So when everything tends to absorb in and your senses come into life, because it's a lot of things to handle, right? So the senses haven't come to you, the emotion haven't come to you yet. Then everything settled down, the whole thing that we mentioned just now. Then you sit down. Then that's where the emotion comes in. So that might be actually like what Chanel said, months later or weeks later.
That's when you recall back the good times.
Yes.
You'll be like, oh no, how come I didn't spend more time here? How come I never give the best out of it? How come I scolded him when he's alive? The kind of emotion there. Dealing with emotional pain requires time. A lot of people think it is a time matter. It is just like you breaking up, but actually it is not. It is not like decluttering exercise whereby you got to throw something
Decluttering.
away, right? Then it's something will be gone. Imagine if you cannot even declutter your clothes that you wear for a few years. Suddenly one day, let's say your mom go and throw away your clothes that you've been loving so much. You will be so sad, you'll be so upset, right? But this is a real human being that we're talking about. I've seen how strong Elaine is. Elaine is such a strong person, but she said in less than 2 years after my beloved dad passed on, I lost my beloved elder sister. I felt so, so, so sad. I just can't stop crying because she was more like a mom to me. It is really okay to be not okay because you are not throwing something out. You're not decluttering something like what I said. It's a human being that you're losing it for life. It's a memory. It's a memory that you will keep, but the memory that is good between you and the deceased person will live on forever. So it is definitely okay to be not okay at the moment. Find someone to talk to each other. If you think facing death is scary, it is even scarier to leave your family unprepared. Okay? One of the ways to really prevent, not here to promote any services, even though I'm an estate planner, but me and Yvonne and Elaine as well, we have seen a lot of cases. We're just here to tell you, really start discussing. If you don't want to even prepare a will, it's really your decision, but discuss it anyway. Let your spouse, your family know your decision at least.
Yeah, I say come to a point that you have to sit down and just at least take the first step by writing down what you have. You would think that you don't have. A lot of people tell me, I don't have thing one, I don't have thing to will one, nothing I have. But as you sit down, you write, the list will go on and on and on and on. That's where your thinking cap start to come in. Because now you don't think, you think that I got nothing. No, let you sit down 1 hour. I tell you, you have a lot of things to write. Be fair to your loved one as well, lah. So please write down whatever you have. At least you pass on. It's easier for them to search for things, lah. Right, Chanel?
You'd rather be transparent with your loved one. Don't have to tell everyone, but at least find the person, the trustable person to tell. Plan ahead. Husband and wife, especially if you're listening to this, if you have a child or you have a loved one, whoever it is, or even though you're single like me, I have parent, I need to take care. I need to prepare. Doesn't mean that you're young, you don't have to prepare. The more you need to prepare because you're young. You have more room to prepare, you see. If the last will you prepared is 5 years ago, then I will also suggest you that you keep a look onto your will currently, because now digital asset is on the rise. Put on the thinking cap. All these are very important. You may hate this topic today, but this is a very scary part where a lot of people, they never prepare and then they regret later. But regretting later won't help anything, right? But discussing earlier, it will help you with a lot of stuff.